At the start of the year, I get this wave of motivation about money. I start thinking about things like paying down debt, building up an emergency fund, and actually planning for the future instead of just hoping it all works out. And for me, I realized I was done with only tracking where my money already went. I wanted a way to plan ahead and feel like I was actually making progress towards real goals. Set yourself up for financial success this year. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool designed to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts and investments, net worth, and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or laptop. Feel aware and in control of your finances this year and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code WIFEOFCRIME. So set yourself up for financial success in 2026 with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use Wife of Crime at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code WIFEOFCRIME.
This podcast is an unscripted, unedited conversation about true crime. We take the cases very seriously, but I don't take myself seriously at all, and neither should you. Welcome to Wife of Crime.
So, Russ. Dennis Bradford never thought anyone would find out his secret. A secret that he had held for 20 years. See, he thought he'd gotten away with murder. But what he didn't count on was the woman at the center of this story was not only a survivor, but she was a fighter, and she had been hunting him all along. This is the amazing case of Jennifer Schuett. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Wife of Crime, a true crime podcast where I tell my husband, Russ, true crime stories and he reacts to them.
What's up, folks? It's your boy, Russ, a.k.a. I guess I'm a podcaster, a.k.a. Lemon Pound Cake.
Yo, that Afro Man situation is so good.
I love trolls.
Yeah.
When they do it at such a grand scale.
Yeah.
But give people a quick, overview for the people that don't know.
Okay, so Afro Man, as you guys might know, is the guy who sang Because I Got High back in the day. And us millennials know him very well from that song. So one day, he wasn't at home, but his wife and 2 kids were at home. And all of a sudden, the entire sheriff's department, like 15 cops, show up and start to raid his house with his family home. And they all had guns and his...
Yeah, they bust down the door. They kicked it open. They didn't knock.
They didn't knock. They busted down the door and his poor 2 kids were like terrified. And his wife was terrified. So they busted in the door. They went through his house. They went through all of his money. They took all of his money to the police station. They took all of his jewelry. And they did all of this because some informant who turns out
allegedly smokes crack and allegedly gives blowjobs to the officers.
Yes. Yes. So allegedly, this alleged crackhead lady told officers he had people kidnapped
This
and
just
tied...
in. It's not alleged, it's confirmed.
Well, she told the cops that he had kidnapped people and had them tied up in his basement.
Yeah.
And none of this is true. She also said he had tons of drugs, which none of that's true either.
I mean, he probably had weed, but it's probably legal.
And not enough. He's not distributing it.
Yeah.
So the cops raid his house, and while they're in there, they're on camera, and he's watching them on camera from his security system, and they are flipping off the security system, and then
they turned it off so they couldn't be seen. But before that, the fat bastard cop ate a piece of his lemon pound cake.
So that's something that we don't know for sure.
Let's just say.
Well, no, but it might not be true. Some people say that the cop was eyeing it up, and some people say that once the security cameras were cut off, he actually cut himself a slice and ate it.
That's what we're going to do.
There are mixed things online. But anyway, so this whole thing happened. He goes down to the police station. They give him his money back, and he's missing $400. So they stole $400. They ruined his house. They ate his cake, and
The lemon pound cake.
he couldn't do anything about it. Like, he had to go back to his house being all messed up. And
they didn't repair the doors or nothing. Like, they
Nothing.
busted down the door. That's crazy that if they go into your house and they were wrong, they don't, like, repair it.
Yeah, nothing. And they took $400 from him.
Yeah, and now we're not safe because I can't lock my door.
Yeah, it's crazy. So after all this, he decided that he was going to make a whole YouTube playlist of songs trolling these officers because it's all he could do. You know, they weren't going to give him any money back or anything. So
What was the one he made about, he made one talking about he's sleeping with the guy's wife?
So yeah, one of them's going through a divorce, and it's because he cheated. And so Afro Man made a song talking about how he's sleeping with his wife.
What's the other one? The girl that she was crying?
So she is a secret lesbian, or he claimed she was a secret lesbian.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then there's another one of the officers' brother has been convicted of sexual assault on a minor. He's a pedophile.
They made songs about that,
and
too.
he made songs about that. And he put them all on YouTube.
So good.
You guys can look it up on Afro Man's YouTube. It's called Lemon Pound Cake, and it's named after the cake.
Yep, he sings it. Lemon pound cake.
And the cops had the audacity to sue him.
For millions they were trying.
$4 million.
Crazy.
And it's a defamation suit. But the thing about defamation suits is that it's only gonna work, you're gonna win if the stuff isn't true. But everything he rapped about in his songs is true.
Wow.
They tried
Such clowns.
They tried to sue him for $4 million, and he won.
Yeah, and they played the songs in front of them while they were on the stand. The lesbian song lady, she was crying.
Yeah,
they're all crocodile tears. And then the one where he slept with his wife, they ask the cop in court on the stand, did he sleep with your wife? The cop said, I don't know.
Yeah. He's like, how do I know he didn't sleep with her?
Oh, my God.
It was such bullshit. So shout out to Afro Man. You won the case.
Yeah.
And honestly, it is a funny situation because of everything he did, and his level of trolling is outstanding.
Now, he put himself up there with 50 Cent with this one.
He did.
He's right up there.
He did. But on the serious side of it, he set a precedent. Like, he showed you can't just do this. You can't just break into someone's house, ruin their stuff with a search warrant with suspicions that come from a super unreliable source that is giving head to officers in that sheriff's department who is a known drug addict, and you're going to use that to get a warrant to come search someone's house and ruin it and steal his money and then just act like you can get away with that? Like, this sets a precedent that is not okay. Cops cannot do these things.
Those cops were some punk ass bitches, though.
They really
I'll tell
were.
you, they were basically like, his songs made me sad.
Yeah. So
like, that's what they went to court with.
it's true.
It made me sad.
I mean,
Wah.
no, listen.
And I hear that the judge was really on the cop side.
He was.
After you know what? And that's probably why they thought they were going to win, and they even took it. They were like, we know the judge, and we all give each other hand jobs in a circle jerk sometimes. So, like,
Yeah.
he speeds around town. We never stop him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Shit like that.
Well,
fucking losers.
The thing is that, no, they didn't just go to court with their defense saying that they were sad. A couple of them had to retire early or quit the department because none of the people in the town now took these cops seriously.
Good.
And a lot of the community saw them as jokes and would recite the lyrics because, this all happened in 2022, and these songs have been on YouTube for a few years now, and the community in Ohio where he lives started like trolling the cops as well.
Wouldn't you, as soon as you see him, you'd be like, lemon pound cake?
Yeah, that's what they would do. And then the whole community sent hundreds of lemon pound cakes to the precinct.
Ah.
So the cops' argument wasn't just that their feelings were hurt. The cops' argument was it's ruining their jobs. And the whole thing caused them to not be taken seriously in their community.
Well, they should be mad at whoever told them to bust in his house and whoever listened to that person, because they're the ones that caused all this.
Yeah, it's true. And they stole $400. Like, I can't get over the fact that they stole $400. Everyone knows they stole $400. And
it's been proven, yeah.
It's been proven. And, like, no one's like, when is he going to get his $400 back? $400 might be not a lot of money to some people, but $400 is a lot of money.
Man, when I was young, $400?
Yeah.
I was broke as a joke.
It's not like Afro Man is out here making Grammy hits, okay? Homeboy
He makes silly songs while he's high.
Yeah, like he's living in Ohio in a small town in kind of the middle of nowhere. He doesn't have a ton of money. He doesn't have millions.
No, but he's not a bum either. He's just like a regular.
He's a regular dude
that's living off his hit. Now he's making money.
Yeah. Well, that's what he said. He said part of his motivation is that you terrified my children who are 10 and 12. You terrified my wife. You had guns in my house, terrifying them. So the only thing I can do now to get the money back, because you guys aren't paying for any of the damage, is I'm going to put these songs on YouTube and live off the money that these songs make.
Well, now YouTube. They made a lot of money.
They did.
But good thing no one got hurt. People bust in your house. You grab a gun. First thing I do if I hear anything, you grab a gun.
Yeah.
If you have one, what would you do? So, and remember that happened in the past. They had wrong search warrants and shot people in the wrong house.
Breonna Taylor. That whole situation makes me so angry. It's enraging. So good for Afro Man. And that story honestly made me laugh so much. And I made a reel about it on TikTok and Instagram. And on Instagram, it went quasi-viral. And we got a bunch of new listeners from it. So welcome to Wife of Crime, the most unprofessional, professional podcast where you have lots of inside jokes. We have a lot of inside jokes. So this is one of our I don't know if it's considered a bonus episode, but I committed to doing a Not Me, Not Today, aka Survivor case once a month this year in 2026, because we all need it. We all need some more wins. And this is our monthly Survivor case. And this is the case of Jennifer Schuett. And I want to shout out one of our listeners who sent me this in a message as a suggestion. Yo. When you said this case is crazy, you were so right. Thank you so much for suggesting this because it is wild.
She got a yo out of you.
She did. So there's something deeply unsettling about the idea that we never really know the people around us. Not completely. Not in the way we like to believe we do. We move through our lives assuming a kind of quiet familiarity, recognizing faces. Sometimes, Russell, you don't always recognize faces.
I used to be like, I'll remember your face. I won't. Like, I could meet someone 4 times in a row. Like, I don't know.
Trusting routines, building relationships on what we can see and what we're told. The coworker who sits across from you every day. The neighbor who waves when they bring out their trash cans. The friend who shows up to dinner and laughs at all the right moments. The spouse who shares your bed, your life. These are the people we think we know and understand. These are the people we feel safe around. But the truth is, every single person carries secrets. Secrets we can't see. Some secrets are small. The kind that live quietly in the background, like mistakes or regrets, things we wish we'd done differently. But others are heavier, darker. The kind of secrets that don't just shape a person, but that haunts them. The kind that sit just beneath the surface of an otherwise normal life, hidden behind routines and smiles and conversations about completely ordinary things. And if you really think about it, it's a weird thing. A person can build an entire life, a family, a reputation. They can go to work every day, pay their bills, make small talk, and blend in so seamlessly that no one ever thinks to question them. And all the while, there could be something buried deep inside of them, something they've convinced themselves will never come to light.
See, evil doesn't always announce itself. It doesn't always look the way we expect. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, tucked into the corners of everyday life, wearing the face of someone you never think twice about. But sometimes those secrets don't stay buried forever. This is the amazing survival of Jennifer Schuett. Are you ready?
Hell yeah.
This story starts with a secret that lasted 2 decades, carried quietly by a man who believed with absolute certainty that he had gotten away with murder. On the morning of October 13th, 2009, Dennis Earl Bradford, a 40-year-old welder living what looked like a completely normal, quiet life in Little Rock, Arkansas, was pulled over during a routine traffic stop on his way to work. Nothing about that moment would have stood out to anyone passing by. But what he didn't know was that the life that he had carefully built was about to collapse in a matter of minutes. Because for 19 years, Dennis Bradford had been living with something he thought he had buried forever. Back on the night of August 9th, 1990, when he was just 21 years old, he kidnapped an 8-year-old girl from her ground floor apartment in Dickinson, Texas.
Oh, shit.
He sexually assaulted her. He choked her. He tried to break her neck, and he slit her throat from ear to ear. And then he dumped her tiny 45-pound body onto a fire ant mound.
Wow.
In an overgrown field and walked away. And then he just kept living. He got married. He raised a family, 3 adult stepsons.
Wow.
He went to work. He blended in. He existed as if that night never happened.
Man, I wonder what other evil shit this bastard did.
But now he's sitting across from FBI Special Agent Richard Renison and Dickinson Police Detective Tim Cromie in an interrogation room. And the illusion he built shattered in a single sentence. Jennifer Schuett, the 8-year-old girl that he murdered, well, she survived. And not only that, she's been hunting him for the last 20 years.
I feel like she's about to pull up like Rambo with like a camouflage bandana on.
Yeah. So Jennifer wasn't supposed to be alive. When Jennifer opened her eyes, she had to blink multiple times. She was staring up at the sky. Her body felt distant, heavy, like it wouldn't respond no matter how hard she tried. There was pain everywhere, sharp and overwhelming, stinging, crawling across her skin.
Oh my God.
But she couldn't make sense of it. When she tried to breathe, it burned so bad, and instinctively, she reached for her neck. The moment her fingers touched it, she felt it. It was warm and wet, and her hand seemed to go inside a hole. And confusion quickly turned into like total panic. She tried to scream. She opened her mouth wide and tried to scream as hard as she could. Her chest was straining with the effort, but no sound came out, not even a whisper. She was trapped inside her own body, terrified, hurting, unable to move, unable to call for help. And she felt herself drift off. A few hours later, a group of kids were playing tag in a field near Dickinson, Texas. Just kids being kids, running around, yelling, laughing, like doing kid shit.
Yeah.
They started playing tag, and one of the little girls started running. She was fast, and she was looking behind her, laughing because the other kids couldn't keep up with her. They couldn't catch her. But suddenly, boom, she tripped. Not on a rock, not on a branch, on a foot. And lying there in the dirt was a tiny, naked 8-year-old girl, completely motionless. Her body was covered from head to toe in fire ant bites. Her skin was scratched and torn from being dragged through the bushes and thorns. Her throat slashed completely open. The cut had severed her vocal cords and cut open her trachea.
Oh, my God.
But somehow he missed all the major vessels in her neck. She was pale, and she was drifting in and out. She couldn't scream, but her eyes opened and she saw a bunch of kids standing around her. And then she drifted off again. The kids ran and told the adults nearby. The first responders rushed in. A police officer stayed right there with her, talking to her, urging her to stay awake, to stay with him, and she was airlifted to the hospital. Just hours earlier, everything had been normal. She lived with her mom, Elaine, in the Yorktown apartments. Elaine was a single mom, so it was just the two of them. They were incredibly close, and a lot of nights Elaine would let Jennifer sleep in her bed because Jennifer was afraid of the dark. So the two of them went up to bed around 11 p.m. After Elaine drifted off to sleep. She was woken up to Jennifer kicking her in her sleep. And Elaine had an early shift the next morning, so she's like, honey, listen, I love you, but you got to go sleep in your own bed tonight.
Yeah.
I got to be like a functioning human tomorrow. And so Jennifer woke up and walked to her bed, and she was like, okay, mommy, it's because I love you. And she went and slept in her own bed. But Jennifer was afraid of the dark, like I said earlier. So now she's kind of awake in the middle of the night, and she's a little freaked out in her own room. So she turned on the lamp on her nightstand, and she stayed up for a little while reading in bed. But then she finally drifted off to sleep. Suddenly, Jennifer was woken up by the movement of bouncing. She also felt something over her mouth. She opened her eyes, and she realized she was being carried by a man holding her mouth shut, and he was running down the street with her in his arms. Jennifer immediately started struggling, trying to squirm out of the man's arms, but he was too strong for her. So she stopped struggling and looked around, and she started to clock everything. Blue car, 2 doors, yucky paint. He then got in the driver's seat of the blue car. He put her on his lap with one arm around her and the other arm on the steering wheel so he could drive. He told her that he's an undercover police officer and that he's taking her to safety because someone tried to hurt her and her mom. Jennifer was so confused. She said, then let me see your badge. She's 8 years old, okay?
Yeah.
And her first reaction was, then let me see your badge. Little girl doesn't play around.
Yep.
He said, I don't have it. I'm undercover. So then they sped by her grandparents' house. And Jennifer says, hey, that's my grandparents' house. If we're in trouble, you can drop me off there. They're home. But he kept driving. And Jennifer knew she was being kidnapped. A few minutes later, he pulled into the parking lot of her own elementary school. He tried to calm her down. He offered her candy. And she's like, no, I don't take candy from strangers.
Yeah.
He told her to watch for her mom's headlights because her mom was coming to meet them there. And he told her everything was going to be okay. But Jennifer was smart. So she questioned him again.
Yeah, his story is stupid.
She says, if you're a police officer, where's your gun? And again, he made an excuse. He said he didn't have it. And then after about 5 minutes, he just drove off. He turned down this remote gravel road and he headed toward the field. And that's where everything escalated. He held a knife at her throat and said, am I scaring you, little girl? Am I scaring you? He choked her as hard as he could. He tried to snap her neck. And then he raped her in the car and in the field. He climbed on top of her and he took the knife and slit her throat. She blacked out from the pain and from the lack of oxygen. And when she lost consciousness, he dragged her by the ankles and threw her on that fire ant hill and left her there, believing that she was dead.
Yeah.
She's 8. Like, can you fathom? She's 8.
Wait.
8 years old.
So did he go into the house and get her?
Yes.
How did he know? Like, why was he targeting her?
You'll see.
Oh.
We'll talk about it. At the hospital, she was in critical condition, but she was awake. She was terrified, but she was aware.
That's crazy to know all that has happened to you.
I know. Dr. Chester Strunk described her as so pale and impossibly small. When the doctors saw her, they were just like astounded that all of this could happen to an 8-year-old, that a grown man would do this to an 8-year-old child. Her body was covered in bites and scratches, and she couldn't make a sound. They performed a tracheostomy just to keep her breathing. So that's where they put you on a ventilator, but they attach the ventilator to a tube through your neck versus through your mouth. But doctors knew she would never be able to speak again. Nurse Sharon McBride was a veteran pediatric ICU nurse. She herself had an 8-year-old daughter. So this case hit her incredibly hard because she's like seeing her own daughter here, you know?
Yeah.
Sharon was assigned to Jennifer, and she cared for her like she was her own child. Even as she tried to process the horror that had been done to her, Jennifer was so traumatized and so deeply shaken, she didn't trust men at all. None of the male doctors, none of the male nurses or techs, they even decided to not allow men to treat her. So her team or anyone that would touch her or deal with her case had to be female.
Well, that's good,
Mm-hmm.
you know, just as a precaution. You never know.
Yeah, I think it was really good. It was a good decision on the medical team to keep her as least re-traumatized as they could. At one point, she kicked one of the male doctors in the stomach because she was convinced that he was going to hurt her.
Oh, my God.
That's how terrified she was.
Well, I'm glad she's kicking.
And the doctor,
moving, you know?
the doctor said the same thing. Like, he wasn't even offended. He was like,
hell yeah.
This girl's a fighter. She kicks me in the stomach. Like, I'm glad to see her fight.
Yeah. She's alive.
Yes. And so they were happy about it. And that's the thing that convinced them that only female nurses and techs would do any of her care. But yet, even in that condition, medicated, in excruciating pain, unable to speak, Jennifer started communicating through notes.
Good.
And what she gave them was everything. She wrote down that his name was Dennis. She described his greasy hair, possibly a scar on his face. His car was blue with yucky paint, a dent. There were beer cans inside. Even the brand of cigarettes he smoked, Marlboro Reds.
Wow.
4 days later, still in the hospital, she worked with forensic artist Lois Gibson, using picture books, pointing at features of men in different pictures to put together a sketch. And I'm going to post this sketch. This sketch is exactly like Dennis. I mean, this girl described him so well without even being able to speak.
Wow.
And Lois, the artist, drew so well that it looks identical to him.
That's so good because a lot of times those drawings are like someone completely different.
Yeah. So within an hour, the sketch was done and Jennifer nodded as if to say, that's him.
Wow.
That looks exactly like him.
This little girl's smart.
This little girl's smart and strong. She's a G.
She's quick.
So that sketch would later match Dennis Bradford's driver's license photo almost perfectly.
Let me look that up.
Okay.
Dennis
Bradford.
Okay. Dennis Bradford.
Composite sketch.
Wait, that's the drawing?
It looks exactly
like
him.
Shit. Wow.
Yeah, it looks exactly like him, right?
That's good.
Yeah. It's insane.
Good job, whoever you are.
Lois Gibson.
And
Jennifer Schuett. They within an hour, they came up with that sketch together based on her descriptions and pointing at magazine photos and different pictures of other men to put that together.
Wow.
But there was other evidence left behind. Jennifer's clothing, a man's t-shirt, and underwear found nearby would sit quietly waiting for technology to catch up.
Yeah.
But Jennifer kept going. You know how I said that doctors said she'd never speak again? Well, she did. Before she left the hospital,
Wow.
she was making this weird noise. And the doctors were like, let's get speech therapy here because she's making some noises. And there was like weird noises coming out of her mouth. It wasn't like coherent words or anything. But the fact that she even made noises was wild because he had severed her vocal cords with the knife.
Listen, when a woman wants to talk, they're going to talk. Ain't nothing stopping them.
True. So after months of recovery, she even went back to school the following fall.
Oh, fuck that. I would have used that as an excuse to not go to school for quite a while.
Get this. She started 3rd grade with her classmates. That just shows how young she was. When this all
She's a
went down,
baby.
she was in 2nd grade.
That's a baby.
So she started 3rd grade with her classmates. Jennifer did have police protection because everyone knew whoever did this was still out there. But as weeks turned to months, and then months turned to years, the case went cold. She grew up constantly looking over her shoulder at neighbors, strangers,
Yeah.
people in the grocery store, always wondering if he was nearby.
Yeah, you feel like it was someone in that town because why would they go right to her house?
Mm-hmm. She was still afraid of the dark and afraid to sleep alone. But she refused to let that be the end of her story. She is so incredibly strong and resilient, and eventually, she graduated high school, she went to college, she became a children's librarian, surrounding herself with books and kids and something good, something joyful.
That sounds like a nice working environment.
It does. Working in a library, it sounds nice. In her mid-20s, she met Jonathan Martinez, and he became her partner, her support system, her everything. And they wanted a family. But there was so much damage from the sexual assault.
Oh, my God.
And it had lasting consequences. There were tons of infections that led to this condition called hydrosalpinx. And it's where your fallopian tubes are filled with fluid. So having a baby naturally wasn't possible. But IVF was the only option. And when doctors heard about her story, they stepped in, and the Houston Fertility Institute donated their services so that she had IVF for free.
That's nice.
In May of 2012, Jennifer announced she was pregnant, and her daughter Jenna was born, and then a year later, her son Jonah came. Jennifer had a husband, 2 children, a job she loved. But she never let Dennis disappear into her past. He was always in her mind. Even as the years passed and the case changed hands from one officer to another, she stayed present. She called. She was persistent. She nagged that police department. She was impossible to ignore, apparently. She showed up. She asked tons of questions. She pushed for answers, refusing to let her story become just another file collecting dust. And while others might have been told to move on, Jennifer refused. Because for her, this wasn't something that could just be left behind. I mean, this could have ruined her entire life, but she was so strong.
Could have ended her life.
Yeah. She pushed through it. She started speaking again. She grew up to become successful. She got a husband. She ended up having IVF and 2 children.
Yeah, she's living the life she wants to live.
But she wanted justice. And she wanted to make sure that people in charge remembered that this man was still out there.
I would think without like DNA, after you exhausted all theories like of who it could be, then what do you do?
Yeah.
You're kind of just stuck.
Well, in 2008, Detective Tim Cromie picked up the file. He met with Jennifer, and she broke down right there in his cubicle. After 2 decades of waiting, she told him, "Don't make promises to me, okay? I've been going through this with multiple officers for years. Don't promise me that you're going to find me answers if you're not going to actually find them. And he said, I'm going to make you a promise. I will do everything in my power for the rest of my career to get you answers. And he partnered with FBI Special Agent Richard Renison. So Detective Cromie called the FBI because the FBI has a special department at this point. Now we're in 2008, so it's been a long time. And they have a special department for crimes against children that was developed in that time. So he calls the FBI and he gets them involved. So he starts working closely with a special agent named Richard Renison, and they went back through everything from the beginning. And then in July of 2008, they sent all of the forensic evidence, the pieces of clothing, the underwear, the shirt found nearby.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they sent it to Quantico for their DNA testing to be done. And
Probably took them forever. DNA shop would have had it right back.
They waited a year.
A year?
A year.
What are they doing with this stuff?
They waited a year. How crazy is that?
How busy are they, or do they just throw it to the side?
I don't know, but that's a long time.
Why?
But finally, on September 22nd, 2009, the call came in. There was a DNA match in the system.
Gotcha, bitch.
Dennis Earl Bradford.
And Dennis, she knew his name was Dennis.
Yes.
Right there.
His DNA had been entered into CODIS after a 1996 crime. So this was 6 years after Jennifer's crime. In Arkansas.
Let's go.
He met a woman at a bar, bought her a couple of drinks, drugged her drinks, kidnapped her, raped her, and slit her throat in the exact same way. He was convicted of rape, but not attempted murder.
Oh, my God.
He was forced to give a DNA sample in that case, but he only served 4 years.
What?
And then he was just released.
People are in jail longer than that for weed.
Exactly. Because rape doesn't have a long sentence.
All right, but attempted murder, you try to cut someone's throat. I mean,
yeah.
What buffoon fucked that up in the court?
I know, it's crazy. So he was arrested on October 13th, 2009, and he sat in that interrogation room, and they told him Jennifer is alive, and she's been looking for you. He's shocked. He literally says, wait, she's alive? And they're like, oh, yeah, she's alive.
Wow.
And she, at the time, she was on
gives you goosebumps.
She was on the other side of the two-way mirror watching this interrogation, watching him find out that she's alive.
That's so good that she got to be there for that.
Yeah, she was there. How crazy.
You ever heard the name Jennifer Schuett?
Yes. My whole life for the past 20 years has been utterly and completely because of my mistake.
I can tell, obviously, it's sexual a lot, but I think you would, if you were to see her, I think you would be extremely proud of her. I really do.
Oh, thank you.
She's alive.
Yes.
She's alive. Oh, she's alive. Let me tell you, she's alive.
Oh, God. Well, you have no idea how hard I have prayed for that. I'm a firm believer of Christ. But I had no idea. Just it wasn't about 2 days later I ran. And I just took off.
Man, the first thing I thought of as he was sitting next to those cops, I was like, how can they sit there and not hit him?
I know.
I wanted, when he started his crying after they said that she was alive,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh my God, I want to pound his face.
I know.
Like, it's so angering.
And then he says he's a
Christ believer.
He's a believer in Christ and all this stuff. Like, come on. It's just crazy. Well, eventually he confessed. He said that he drove around randomly and he saw the light on through her window. And the window was open because this is the 90s. She's on a ground floor apartment in a safe area. It was
Just
Texas.
getting a breeze, probably.
There's a breeze coming through, so she had her window open with the screen down. He saw her light on her nightstand on because she turned it on to read, remember? And he climbed through the window and took her.
That's it.
That's it.
I really thought, like, the way she was targeted at that exact moment, like, someone was waiting for their opportunities to specifically get her.
No, it was just
Wow.
It was him who it was an opportunistic
Taken
crime.
right out of her room.
Taken right out of her bedroom.
She didn't even make enough noise for her mom to hear it.
No, and imagine being her mother and your daughter sleeps with you almost every night. And she kicked you in the middle of the night and you're like, you know what? You got to go in your own bed, kid. Like, I can't.
Yeah.
I got to be able to work tomorrow. The guilt she must have felt.
Yeah, but that one isn't one that is... I get it. Like, oh, I wish she would have stayed. But you didn't do anything wrong at all.
No,
and it wasn't even a
wrong.
choice. You didn't even have like a choice, this or that. It was kind of like the obvious, like, hey, I got to get some sleep.
Yeah. No, she didn't do anything wrong, but her mother did put it on herself, you know, because
But you know what?
it's a natural reaction.
You would do that 100 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I got to go to sleep. I got to get some sleep.
Yeah. So he said he lost control and he described himself as a savaged animal.
And wait, so there's definitely more than just them two.
There has to be. There's no way that he just lived life and did this same crime. I mean, the other one, he drugged her at a bar, but still, same thing twice. There has to be more victims out there.
Unless Jennifer was the first one, and then he did it again not too long after and got caught, and then got...
Well, yeah, it was 1996.
And then stopped because he got caught.
Maybe, yeah.
And like he was just too scared of jail.
Well, Jennifer finally had answers. She formed a deep bond with Detective Cromie and Special Agent Renison.
Cromie was the homie.
The men who kept their promise when so many years had passed. But sadly, Jennifer never got her day in court. On May 10th, 2010, while awaiting trial, Dennis Bradford hanged himself in his jail cell using his bedsheet. He was 40 years old.
Well, that's it?
That's it. Jennifer was devastated, not because she wanted revenge, but she was prepared to give a victim impact statement to him in court.
Yeah.
And she wanted him to hear it. So she did something incredibly powerful. On the 20th anniversary of the attack, August 10th, 2010, her and her husband drove to his grave. She sat down on the grass and she read the entire statement out loud to him. She wanted her version of closure. I mean, you know, like...
Oh, I get it.
Not necessarily closure. It'll just make her feel a little better. I'm going to read some of the statement, not all of it because it's pretty long, but I'll read some key points. Dennis Bradford. I waited 19 years, 2 months, and 3 days to find out your last name and for you to be caught. I knew your first name was Dennis because you told me before you raped me and attempted to murder me on August 10th, 1990. When you cut my throat from ear to ear, you assumed that I'd die, or if I lived, I would never be able to talk. Well, you chose the wrong little 45-pound, 8-year-old girl to try to murder because for 19 years, I've thought about you every single day and helped in searching for you. Every year that's passed has given me more strength and drive for when I finally would be face to face with you as I am today. The choices you made in the early morning hours of August 10th have impacted my life and changed me forever. Before August 10th, I was a free-spirited little girl. I can't remember ever even being afraid or living in fear besides always being afraid of the dark, as most children are at that age. You changed that. By the time I was released from the hospital, we didn't even live in our own home anymore. You put such a fear into myself and my family that I didn't get to go home to the home that I had known for almost 5 years. My mother and I had to move in with my grandparents, and I had to be escorted to and from school instead of being able to be a usual carefree kid. I can say that I feel very blessed and grateful that I'm able to find out who attacked me after all those years, and that he was arrested a year later and taken off the streets. Dennis Bradford, I am not your victim. I am victorious.
Let's go.
Bars.
Yes.
I mean, she is just so strong. I'm obsessed. And as she finished reading, she sat there crying and wondering if he could actually hear her. And then she felt something sharp on her foot. And she looked down and she saw a single fire ant that just stung her. Yeah.
Ain't no way.
Yeah, it's true.
You're telling me we're not in a simulation.
No, that's a sign. The same kind of ant that covered her body that day. And she took it as a sign that he heard her and that he was paying for his secret sin. Jennifer Schuett didn't just survive. She transformed everything that was meant to destroy her into something that could help other people. She became a speaker, an advocate. She travels around telling her story. She pushes for stronger DNA laws, like mandatory cheek swabs for criminals, which I think is a great idea. She wears a shirt that says, "Use your voice." And in 2009, after Bradford was arrested, she stood in front of cameras and she said something that defines her whole story. This event in my life was a tragic one, but today, 19 years later, I stand here and I want you all to know that I am okay. I'm not a victim. I'm victorious. There's something that lingers after a story like this, something you can't quite shake because it forces you to sit with two truths at the same time. That there are people in this world who can carry something unspeakable inside them, hiding it behind normal lives and familiar faces. And that there are also people who refuse to be silenced by what was done to them, no matter how dark it was. For 19 years, a secret lived and breathed in the same world as everyone else. It sat at dinner tables. It went to work. It blended into neighborhoods, existing quietly, waiting, believing it would never be exposed. And for those same 19 years, a little girl grew into a woman who carried her own version of that night, but instead of burying it, she held it with purpose. She remembered, she spoke, she pushed, and she refused to let it disappear. Jennifer Schuett was never supposed to survive what happened to her.
Yeah.
By every measure, by every expectation, she shouldn't have made it out of that field. And yet she did. She lived when she wasn't supposed to. She spoke when her voice was nearly taken from her. She built a life, a family, a future out of something that was meant to end her. And in the end, the secret didn't win. Because no matter how deeply something is buried, no matter how much time passes, there are some truths that refuse to stay hidden. And sometimes justice doesn't come quickly. It doesn't always come easily. But it comes because someone refuses to stop looking for it. Some secrets may hide for a while, but they don't always get to stay buried. And that's the case of Jennifer Schuett.
I love that he was caught.
Oh my gosh.
He thought he was free.
This case blew my mind. Just physically, the fact that I cannot fathom laying naked in a field covered in fire ants, unable to move. At first they thought she was paralyzed from the chest down, but it was sheer shock that she couldn't move her body. Like her brain just couldn't communicate to the rest of her body.
There was just too much going on, probably.
Yeah.
Or like she's getting bit all over, and then all the things he did to her.
Yeah. So like she was in so much pain that her body was paralyzed by the pain.
That's crazy.
And the fact that he severed her vocal cords, her trachea, she still lived. I mean, I just cannot with these people. Some of the people we talk about on these Survivor episodes, I feel like I'm unworthy to be in the same world as them. They are the strongest people I have ever heard of.
Sometimes you never know what people went through in their life to get to the point where they're at.
It's so true. So like I talked about, you pass these people in your life who could be holding on to these horrendous secrets. You never really know. But then there also are people in your life who you work with or you just pass by or barely know who are also holding on to crazy survival.
Yeah.
Like you don't know what people have survived, and it's insane. This case blew my mind.
Yeah, me too.
I had actual chills writing it.
Yeah, that was crazy. I did feel that way too. But to me, what we're really going to take from this is she's a badass, and there is nothing that will quiet a woman. That's what I've got from this story.
Well,
you could take their vocal cords. They'll regenerate.
Regenerate. Well, I just love the story. And it's just something we all need right now to hear about a win like this. And at the end, when that fire ant bit her on her foot,
that's crazy.
That is, confirmation.
I've never been bit by a fire ant in all my years.
Really? I have.
Really?
Yeah, it hurts. So, yeah, this case just blew my mind. I had chills the whole time I was writing it. I can't believe it's not more well known. It's not covered very often in the true crime space. There's been a couple people who have covered it, but yeah, it totally blew my mind. I hope that he is rotting in hell, and I hope he is eternally getting bit by fire ants forever and ever and ever. Amen.
Well, it's good that she kept going because he would have been free forever.
Yeah.
So her persistence got him off this earth, and we're glad. Hey, it's better for society that he's dead.
Yeah.
He's a shitty person out in public, and he would have been a burden on our finances.
And honestly, he would have been charged with attempted murder, but
oh shit! What if he got off?
He wouldn't have gotten off.
Not off, but he got off in 4 years.
But his sentence might not have been.
Yeah.
He's only 40 when he was.
He could get out at 60.
He could have gotten out at 60, exactly.
Because he didn't actually kill her.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
Better off.
Yeah, good riddance.
We're all better off.
If anybody goes by his grave, poop on it.
For real.
Let your dog poop on his grave.
All right, everybody. Well, that's that. Thank you so much for tuning back in. Check us out on Instagram at Wife of Crime Pod, Facebook at Wife of Crime, The Crime Family, and ClutchDefenseCo.com, and Patreon at Wife of Crime Pod.
See you next episode.
And we'll catch you next episode.
Later.
All right, bye.